are you having trouble planning anything in your life right now? Whether it's trips, whether it's meeting your friends, whether it's dinner, that you feel like it's almost impossible to plan and go out anywhere, socialize, and maybe this is because of the symptoms, the kind of issues that you're facing, especially if you have an illness like autoimmune condition, the sheer unpredictability of this disease can make it almost impossible, if not incredibly hard, to plan anything, right? So, and that can be quite a challenge. And if you have been dealing with this kind of an issue for more than 2 years, then you may have not really found out and addressed the root causes of your condition, right? So living with an autoimmune condition is inherently very challenging, but especially because symptoms can flare up without warning, right? We may know some of the triggers, we may not realize what the other triggers are or what really sets off our symptoms, and you just don't know whether you will have a really bad flare up on a particular day or just pain and fatigue. And that can make it so hard to live our lives, right? So hard to go anywhere, to meet our friends, right? To be with our family. So this is, but what happens is, this is what most people do. They rely on immune suppressing medications to manage their disease, right? And it's of course necessary at times and needed to prevent further damage, but what usually happens if this goes on for a long periods of time without any other intervention is that most people go on to develop more and more autoimmune conditions, or at the very least they develop new symptoms as a result of the side effects. Or a person can go off gluten, dairy and some other foods, and based on what has brought relief to others. So you may have heard of somebody who has gone off gluten, who has gone off dairy, maybe eggs, maybe lentils, grains, etc., and found some relief. But if they have tried to do it, they have experienced hair fall, they have experienced fatigue, loss of energy, maybe even pain, aggravating some of their symptoms, right? And the other thing can be that some people make the mistake of solely dealing and focusing on symptoms, right? Nothing else, symptom and symptom management. And again, so they again, because they have not really addressed what is going on at the root of it all, they can go on to develop more and other autoimmune diseases. So in this live training, I'm going to share with you 3 effective ways that you can manage the unpredictability of living with this disease, of taking control of how you can sort of live with this and lead your life, and of course move towards health and well-being. And this is a 3-pillar framework that I use inside my own coaching program. It's called Body-Wise Healing, because we are guided by our own bodies to know what the right direction is, rather than solely focusing on what others tell us, what experts or medical professionals, and only that, right? Of course we take those inputs, but we don't only rely on that. So this is the framework that I follow, and the 3 effective ways that you can deal with this unpredictability, that is the very nature of an autoimmune condition, is what I'm going to discuss. Welcome Kanchan to this live session. If you have any questions, make sure that you hop in and ask in the questions below, in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer that. So the first way that you can deal with this is focusing on stress management, personalized treatment. I'm going to start with personalized treatment first. So functional medicine, and that's the modality that I follow as a health coach, is all about personalized treatment, right? So of course your treatment needs to be personalized when it comes to medications, but even apart from medications, when you're working with any kind of a functional medicine practitioner such as myself, we make sure that the approach is customized for your unique requirements, right? Because functional medicine is not solely concerned with health problems. It's looking at the connection between your environment and what's going on inside, and how they're connected and how they are impacting each other, right? So we call it a systems approach, because we believe that we are dealing with systems, a systems biology approach, where we have interconnecting systems. So there's detoxification, circulation, digestion, inflammation and repair. So all of these hormonal systems. So all these systems comprise of different organs, neurotransmitters, hormones. All of these are interacting with each other and they are affecting each other. So we need to focus on this, figure out what the underlying imbalances are, what are the deficiencies, especially the nutrient deficiencies. But all of this is only possible to be done when we customize it, when we personalize this approach, right? So it has to be right for you. You have to be, for your body's requirements, and it has to be personalized, and this is something that is often missing. So rather than just having the same approach for any person, even with the same diagnosis, that's not actually the right way to cut it. So for example, if I have a client, if I have 3 clients, and this has happened of course, who have say a similar issue, like they have eczema. So with one client, one of the things that we need to prioritize can be toxin reduction, like in her environment, etc. And we've done that. Another client, it can be on the food part of it, because body is really triggered by certain foods, and that is where we prioritize. It's not a way, so one of the key areas. And the third can be stress, right? So you can have different. So it's finally has to be personalized. And before you can do that, 2 things that need to happen. One is you need to identify the imbalances, and what are the underlying imbalances that are going on, and where is it, and what's really happening. Is there an issue with the digestion, which is usually extremely common, but apart from that, is there insulin resistance? What else is going on? Is low cortisol? So we need to figure out these underlying imbalances. And secondly, as I said, you need to figure out a personalized program to help your body deal with this health issue, to get back things into balance, especially our immune system, right? So that's a personalized treatment. And you have to, so what you can do is, so a couple of actionable steps that you can take is to keep a symptom journal and figure out what are the symptoms. Is there a pattern? Are there any foods which are triggering it off? So you can, lack of sleep, your lifestyle, maybe a particular product that you're using. So you can actually start figuring out what is triggering your particular symptom. Maybe it's movement, if you exercise a lot. So you'll have to figure out what's really going on, and is there a pattern. And you of course can get help with doing this from a health coach or from a practitioner. And the other thing you would need to do is, again, assess and prioritize what are the areas that you need to focus on, right? Because there might be 20 things that you need to do. You can't really do everything together. And that's exactly the example I gave you about 3 people with eczema. One might need to focus on getting rid of certain foods first. The second might need to focus on toxins in their environment, and the third might need to focus on stress management first, right? That can be their starting point. Of course, there are many other things that they need to work on. So that's the first effective way. The second way is nutritional support, right? Food is of course of primary importance, and we believe food is medicine. Even in our traditional system, our Ayurveda, that's something. Food is something that we always focus on, because as I said, food is medicine. So even when the first effective way of managing unpredictability, as I said, was personalizing, and the second is food. So nutritional support. So whether your diet should have a low glycemic load, whether you should be having what oils you should be consuming, whether it's a proper balance of omega-3 oils. Are you taking out the refined cooking oils, which are highly inflammatory? Are you having enough phytonutrients, so which are all the colors of the vegetables and the fruits? Or are you again having mostly inflammatory foods, which would be it can be gluten, it can be dairy, it can be grains. It depends on the person also what is inflammatory, but these foods primarily, and of course all the processed foods that we can come across. And maybe you need specific nutrients that your body is not getting. Maybe it's more of zinc, and maybe it's more of magnesium. So then maybe you need to focus on more of nuts and seeds. Maybe it's vitamin D. So again, just personalizing what your unique body needs is really effective in making sure that your symptoms actually come off, improve, go down, the intensity goes down, and that helps overall, especially when you're dealing with in the unpredictability of symptoms going haywire from one day to next. So focusing, and what the actionable steps that you can take here is focusing on anti-inflammatory foods. What I mean by that is all the plant foods. So whether it's typically the vegetables which are high in fiber, they are high in something called phytonutrients I just talked about. That's something that your body needs to have a healthy and strong immune response. So leafy greens, fish if you are having fish, berries, all kinds of berries, but basically all the colors, and all the vegetables that you can think of, fruits as well. But fruits I'm a bit more cautious, because fruits, it depends on the person, right? If the person has an issue with carbohydrate intolerance, not able to really break down the carbohydrates, even fruits can be a problem, especially because they're high in fructose as well. Or if they have fatty liver, or liver is a bit liver health is compromised, then they might have an issue with fruits itself, right? But vegetables, that's not the case. So but by and large, keeping in mind that both fruits and vegetables are anti-inflammatory foods. And of course the other thing would be to avoid or limit foods that trigger inflammation, right? Whether it's processed food, whether it's gluten, whether it's dairy for some people, it can be eggs for some others. That again, the whole personalization thing is very important here as well, but it's about the foods that you need to consume. So the first thing that I mentioned to you was personalized treatment. That is one of the hallmarks of functional medicine. The second one I'm talking about is, of course, nutritional support, where we look at food as medicine. And the third is stress management, right? So, I teach my clients how to manage their chronic stress, and it can work both ways. Of course, stress is a trigger for symptoms, for diseases, and it can aggravate the symptoms. On the other hand, living with a chronic illness itself is very stressful, right? So going beyond traditional stress management techniques, of course, if you're meditating, if you're already doing meditation, etc., that's brilliant, you should keep doing that. But there are other ways that I'm going to share with you shortly. But creating a healing environment is always priority, so that you can support your body's own healing process to help bring it back into balance, right? Because a lot of times we don't realize the kind of stress that our body is going through, and we're not even aware of it. It happens more often than you think. When I ask my clients, they're aware. Sometimes they may not be aware how much stress that they're taking in, and they're dealing with. And it can feel, especially for women, because we are again caregivers, nurturers. We usually are the ones who take care of our families, our children. There's a lot of stress that can come in, right, with all the workload, and it can feel back-breaking, and we can feel burnt out. So that has to be really dealt with. It's as important as your food and whatever else I talked about. And I really like this phrase by which crystallizes the book. Is It Worth Dying For, by Dr. Robert Elliott. And he had said that there are two rules in life. The first one is easy to understand. It is about not to worry about the small stuff, right? So all the small things, we need to know what are the big things, right? What are the things that we should care about, so which is our family, our health, etc. But all the other small things we don't need to really stress about every single time, every single day. But the second one is more complicated, that if everything is the small stuff if it is going to kill us, right? So if we are not careful, then we can actually start focusing on any and everything that comes onto our plate, and that can make our life really, really stressful. So knowing what is important for us, what is priority, and then prioritizing what is important can play a big role, because we possibly cannot do everything that we want to in the 24 hours, and we should not try to, right? We should only be doing those things that are really important and not necessarily only urgent. So there is another book that is based on this topic. I'm not going to get into that. It's called First Things First by Stephen Covey. You can check it out. It's a brilliant book on time management, and it sort of just gives you a very different perspective on how you can manage your time. It's not about doing more, it's about actually doing less but better, but things that are important to you. So there are four things that you can do, actionable steps that you can take to deal with stress. And again, I teach this inside my coaching program called Healing From Within, and this framework that I use is called Body Wise Healing Framework. And one is do a self-journaling exercise. And I believe that if we are guided by our own bodies, we will not really stray off the path for long. I mean, like, we'll be really guided and we'll be heading in the right direction where we want to go for our own health and wellness goals. So self-journaling exercise, like for example, writing a thank you note to our body can be really freeing and empowering. This is one of the ways that we can use journaling. Second can be practice treating your body well for one day, right? Just taking care of your body, maybe on a Sunday, making sure that you got enough rest, you're taking a luxurious bath. It doesn't have to be a very exotic thing like going to the spa, etc. But just those small things like savoring a meal, maybe having fun, playing, singing, dancing, whatever brings you joy, which is vitamin J. I talk about it a lot. Just focusing on all the other vitamins is not enough. The nutrients, we also need to focus on things like love, like joy, pleasure. So that's where it comes from. The third is that you can make a short list of ways that you can support your body for the next 1 week, right? So what are the things that you can possibly do to take care of yourself? And it can be as small or as big as you want. Like for example, one day can be that you will go to bed half an hour early because you want to get that extra rest because the week has been really hard or tiring. Or then another date can be that you sort of meet an old friend you haven't met in a long time, because meeting, socializing, especially with other women, is really can be really de-stressing. So those kind of things, right? Whatever brings you joy. And lastly, making an appreciation list for your body and writing things down, right? We actually underestimate how it frees us and what kind of clarity that we get by doing this small but highly effective exercises. So just writing down this kind of appreciation note makes us feel gratitude for our bodies, makes us kinder towards ourselves, makes it easier for us to forgive ourselves when we make mistakes, and that's what keeps us going, right? You want to make sure that you are on a path that you don't burn out on, even if you are removing certain foods, following certain protocols, personalized treatments, medications. At the end of the day, you want to move in a way that you can sustain, and you can have fun, you can enjoy the path, the journey as you go along, because I always say that healing is like a journey, right? So it's not only about the destination, because it's you keep on moving, right? You keep on making progress. It's not about perfection, it's about the journey. That you're going to take the next step and the next step and the next step, but it can be really hard to keep going, right? So when you actually do these kind of activities, it helps you to tune in with yourself, what your body needs from you, and you just know in your bones that you're on the right track, right? So that's the beauty of following these kind of steps. And the good news is there is no one right way of doing this. You will know what is going to work for you, or if it is working for you, and you will know when it's not, and you can make changes, right? So this is something that I wanted to share today, where you can start dealing with the unpredictable nature of your disease, especially if you're dealing with autoimmune conditions. Of course, if you're dealing with any other chronic illness, it can be very similar. And you can still use the same things that I mentioned today: personalized treatment, nutrition, using food as medicine, and the last is stress management. And if you want to, if you need help in figuring out what you need to do first to help you with these kind of issues, I have opened up 2 slots in my coaching program, and I have scheduled, there are 10 slots available for a free discovery call. And you can DM me with the word call, and I can schedule the call for you. See you soon.